Welcome, everyone, to the introduction episode of the American Gooners Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Tillman. I'm joined, as I will be every week, by my co-host, Morgan Garber. Morgan, what is up, man?
Not a lot, man. I am excited to get started, excited to talk some football, as we will call it on this podcast. It won't be soccer, it'll be football. It is properly pronounced.
We are two American Gooners. But with that said, we both love the game. We both appreciate the game. I'm under the understanding that as Americans, we didn't create the sport. We can't name the sport. We'll give all due respect to the sport that we love. We are a branch of the Two Blue and OSU podcast. We talk about a wide array of sports. But our third co-host on that, Douglas Desmaris, he does not appreciate the game. He does not like the game. He does not want to talk about the game. So we branched off and created our Football Central. Morgan and I talk about it every day. Might as well do this now, too.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Doug will be happy to get soccer off the Two Blue and OSU. But with that podcast, we do talk about, pretty much almost every sport. I mean, we try and get every sport, but this podcast here will be strictly football and nothing else. It'll be football from around the world, and that's including the MLS. As much as it kills me, I will gladly talk some MLS with you.
I'm gonna turn you into a fan. It's our league, man. That's where we can actually go to games and watch.
This is where I might become a fan.
You have Columbus Crew right there.
Player. Well, yeah. Well, that. But my favorite player, Tim Howard, is making the move. Like most stars, when they hit the tail end of their career, come over to the MLS to add about 5 years to their career. So he is making a move over from Everton to, I believe, the Colorado Rapids.
Are you going to be a Colorado Rapids fan?
I think I'm going to stick with the Columbus Crew just because every other sport I stay in Ohio. And Columbus Crew aren't that bad. They were in the MLS Cup last year. Granted, they lost. The keeper had a blunder early on.
Yeah.
He got kind of cocky. But I will stick with my Crew. I will get into it a little bit more, just because you want me to. But I will follow the Colorado Rapids because I'm a huge Tim Howard fan. I have keeper bias.
I am already looking into tickets for the first Colorado Rapids Sporting KC home game for Sporting KC, and I'm definitely going to go. I'm going to go early, and I'm going to get a Tim Howard autograph, and I'm going to throw it in your face.
You better get me one too.
Only one. I might get one for my wife, even though she has no idea who that is.
Oh, come on now. Hey, so recently they just came out and said that there will be games. There'll be a game at Ohio State Stadium and then a game at Michigan. I think Ohio State is, I think it's PSG and Real Madrid. And then I believe the one at Michigan is, I want to say it's either Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. I can't remember. I had to look it up.
I know it's Manchester United and Real Madrid.
Is it?
Yeah, let me look that up while you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your fandom?
Yeah, I am a huge Arsenal fan. I got into them when I was younger, when I was in high school. I had some of my teammates were huge Arsenal fans. And when I started watching them was about the 03-04 season, which ironically was their invincible season where they went the whole season without losing a game. So that was pretty incredible. They were, I believe, the only team to do that. They went the whole season without loss. I believe they had, I think, 26 wins and 12 draws. So that kind of brought me into them. I kind of got to see. That was the Henry, Robert Perez, Bergkamp, David Seaman in goal. Who else is on that team? That was a team just full of studs, which is why I think Arsenal keeps Wenger around, because he brought that group together and they go a whole season without losing a game. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans are still holding on to that.
We'll get into that into episode 1. Yeah. Let's hold off on that one.
Yeah. But that's where I became a huge Arsenal fan. My hatred for Manchester United grew the older I got and the more I learned about Arsenal and the Premier League. So that's where I'm at now.
And I am also an Arsenal Gunners fan. Morgan actually got me into soccer about 2.5 years ago. I'm going to be open and honest right now. Prior to that, I am an American football guy. I played it in high school. I coach high school football now. I was the stereotypical American football is great, and at the time I called it soccer was a lesser sport. I used to make fun of you on your Facebook page every time you posted a soccer post, and finally you called me out on it one time, and you got really mad. And so I decided to sit down and actually watch a game, and it was the perfect time for it. It was the 2014 World Cup, and I sat down and I watched Team USA versus Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo. And you had that crazy last few minutes cross to tie it up. But I loved the game. It was intense. It was exciting. And I decided to pick a EPL team to follow. And I was going down the list, and I have my choice. I'm not from any area in England, so I could pick whoever I wanted. And it came down to three teams. It was Arsenal, Everton because of Tim Howard, and I believe Crystal Palace. And I decided to go with Arsenal because they remind me a lot of my favorite sports teams here in the States, Michigan, with a great history. They play a style that I like, and they fit everything that I believe in as a fan. So Arsenal became the team. I usually go against you, Morgan. We are college and pro team rivals here in the stateside, with me being Michigan guy, you being an Ohio guy. But Arsenal was a team, and I watched them every weekend. I fell in love with the sport. So before you come at me and say I'm plastic or I don't know what I'm talking about on here, Morgan will tell you, in the last 2.5 years, I've studied my ass off, and I've kind of educated myself on the game to a level where a seasoned vet would be able to talk about the game.
Yeah, there's times where you send me a Facebook message and start talking about it. I'm like, wait. Then I gotta sit down and Google, like, who is this guy who he's talking of? Because the thing about football is there's so many players, so many teams around everywhere, to where it's hard to know every player and every team. So sometimes you gotta sit down and be like, oh, Arsenal's thinking about signing so and so. You gotta sit there and you gotta, find the highlights and see who they are and and where they play. So there's sometimes I'm like, man, I gotta step my game up because he's starting to leave me here.
And a big part of that is I'm also a big FIFA player. I play FIFA pretty much every day. So I learned these players through FIFA really first, and then I'll stat look them up and all that stuff. And I follow all the football pages on Facebook. I got Mirror, I got Fox Soccer, I got them all. And I know you follow a lot of them as well, and we get instant updates. And Mirror has really screwed me the last 2 years. I get excited about some of the names they post around with Arsenal. And again, we'll get into that episode 1. But I've really stepped my fandom up. So before you come at me, you better come correct because I know my stuff and I will shoot you down.
Yeah, with this being a football podcast, I'm actually pretty anxious to see who listens and how it grows. I know I invited a bunch of people that I know are into soccer. So hopefully we get a lot of feedback from this one. Hopefully we get a lot of good feedback. And I have a bunch of friends that are really into Arsenal football, really in, the football just in general. So
we have a couple of Chelsea fans too.
I'm pretty excited. Oh yes, let's Matt Harpster. I'm gonna go ahead and call him out now. Matt Harpster.
Gross.
Yeah, I get so sick of seeing it. I get so sick of seeing his Chelsea stuff. He's like a Michigan fan. I was bringing up the past.
Last year was the worst.
It was having to hear him talk the whole year, and yeah. But this year has been a delight to watch them. Granted, they're kind of moving up from the bottom of the table now. Who
cares though? They won't reach top 4. So
no, there's no way we reach top 4. Well, hopefully we stay in the top 4. But aside from Arsenal, I know me and you are both big USA soccer fans. Actually, I believe they're playing tonight in a World Cup qualifying I believe they're playing Guatemala. Howard is, of course, in goal for tonight. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
I heard that's why he's making the move to Colorado, really, because he wants to earn first teams in the men nationals again. And sitting on the bench, Everton won't do that for him. But I believe he's got a permanent spot. He's got a permanent spot on Team USA.
Yeah, we can. We can get into that. In episode 1 or 2.
We'll do that too.
Because I actually read an article about that and about how USA men's soccer is kind of hurting for a goalkeeper because Howard's getting older and Ruzan in his prime to where he should be the next guy to step up, but he's in a Premier that I can't. I think it was Stoke. I can't remember who he's with.
He's been Aston Villa.
He's been Aston Villa. Yeah, you're right.
He's Aston Villa.
And he's been benched a couple games, start a couple games, then bench a couple games, start a couple games.
Well, they're in last
been up and down. Yeah, so that kind of tells you that right there. But I mean, that's where you kind of grew. Yeah, well, I mean, that's where you kind of grew your first love is watching, USA soccer in the World Cup. In that Portugal game, God, I was at my in-laws' house, and they're not big football fans neither. So he invited me over to watch that game, because it's USA and it's the World Cup. And he's like, I never watched a game that exciting before ever. So to have my in-laws sit there and watch the game and talk about how exciting that the game was, and man, I thought they crushed my heart in that game. I thought for sure we had that in the bag. We were going to be, pretty good spot. I believe with a win against Portugal, we would have clinched right away to where the game against Germany wouldn't have mattered. But we still went on. We had a good run against Belgium in a knockout stage where Tim Howard played probably arguably one of the best games ever by a keeper in any World Cup game. Broke the record for saves in a game. I was just glad that you got to win the set, and you picked a good first game to watch. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that Portugal game was intense, and I got so into it that by the end, when Cristiano Ronaldo crossed it over and they scored, which by the way was magnificent. Really, it was pure Cristiano Ronaldo, is what I know now. But that really solidified it. And then of course the Belgium game, Timmy Howard, I feel bad because our offense wasn't on par with his play that night. So that loss definitely wasn't on him for sure.
No, that was they couldn't get nothing going. The midfield couldn't control. They had decent passing, but the biggest thing is they could not finish.
Wasn't Jose Altidore out that game? He got hurt in Germany.
Yeah. Oh, he got hurt. Yeah. No, before Germany. With the Portugal game, I think when he got hurt.
It might have been Portugal. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was early. Which, by the way, they did a survey, and Altidore was one of the top names that a lot of players think is overrated. We can debate that another time because I would take Altidore over Dempsey any day of the week because I think Dempsey is overrated, but that's just me.
We'll get into that episode. That's going to be an episode 2 topic because I'm going to fight you on that one.
Yeah.
But we are Arsenal. We're Arsenal fans here. We're Team USA fans here. And we follow the EPL, both of us, pretty closely. And I follow the MLS obviously more than Morgan. I'm a Sporting KC fan here stateside. I live in Kansas City. I just developed my love for soccer while living here. And they have a beautiful facility. They have a good team. So naturally, it's a natural fit for me. And Michigan doesn't have a team yet, unfortunately. But those are my teams. But we're also going to talk – we'll talk Bundesliga. We'll talk La Liga. We'll talk French League One. We'll talk Serie A. The main leagues we'll talk about – I don't know if we'll get into Eredivisie too much or any of the smaller leagues. But definitely the big leagues and the big teams we'll discuss. And the big transfer topics are going to be coming up here in the next 2 months. We'll definitely hit on those.
Yeah, it's funny as we're sitting here talking about Timmy Howard, and as we're doing this, I got the game cast going on my phone, and Guatemala scored 7 minutes in. So it's 1-0 Guatemala.
Come on, Timmy.
As we're sitting here talking Timmy Howard up, I don't know how they scored. It could have been fluke. Could have not been Timmy Howard's fault, but
That's one misconception. It's not always the goalkeeper's fault. And as Arsenal fans with Peter Cech in goal, we kind of know that now.
yeah, well, I learned that growing up quick when I was a keeper. You know, I would have a game where I'll make 12, 13, 14 saves. Then I let 2 in, and then we lose 2-0. And it's like, well, shit, it's my fault because I let 2 in. So as a keeper, you learn very early on. I know my daughter loves being a keeper, and she hates letting the goal. Hates it. It's like her fault.
You're a youth soccer coach, so you have that too. You played soccer. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, football. We're talking football here. My bad.
Football, yeah.
We're going to get out of this American nonsense, I promise you. A little heads up, we are Americans. We pronounce things differently here. There are going to be some names that come up that are, from an American perspective, outstanding, and we're going to butcher them. Which is what's called. Let's put that out there now. It's going to happen.
That is where we keep it American by butchering these names. It'll be fun, though.
It's going to be a good time. We're going to hop right into our episode 1 here shortly. I will ask this question. Start off the intro episode with a question. You know I play FIFA all day. And I'm struggling right now, Morgan, because the realism of the game isn't at my level. I think the game is very ping-pongy, very fast play. So if any of our listeners out there who play FIFA offline, career mode, have any sliders tips for me, I watch FIFA Solved. Shout out to FIFA Solved on YouTube. But I watch all these YouTube videos, try to figure it out, and none of them really work. If I go too low, the players are unresponsive. If I go too high, it's very ping-pongy. So any listeners out there who have tips, who have sliders that work well for them for a slower gameplay, let us know on our Facebook page. I would be very appreciative because I hate the ping-pongy feel.
I unfortunately do not have the new FIFA. That's what you have me beat at. I used to play. I have FIFA 2015, and I played all day, every day, and then kids happen. And then I got 2, so it's like I don't have a whole lot of time. It's when I do get a chance, I'm watching sports. When it's not sports, I'm watching some Nick Jr. show or SpongeBob.
Oh, I got the setup, man. You got 2 60 inches in our living room. 1 for the wife for TV, 1 for FIFA with me.
I guess I'm making a trip down there sometime.
You got to go, man. It's good times. Again, we're going to have a wide array of world football talk here. We will talk Arsenal. We'll talk Arsenal a lot, but we're going to hit on other topics as well. I'm going to get Morgan into the MLS. He's going to watch games. He's going to follow it. He's going to know the players like I know the players.
We'll see how that works out for you. I'm not a big hater of the MLS. It's not, when me and you had this debate on our Two Blue and OSU. I'm just not a huge fan because to me it's where older players go to add 5 years to their career, and it's where young players leave once they get too good for it.
I think we have a couple good episode 2 topics already set up, and that might be one of them. But we're gonna go ahead and
I'm all for it.
We'll end our intro episode with that. Be sure to listen in. We're going to come out every Saturday morning. So while you're watching EPL, listen to us. See how we're doing. If you watch La Liga, Bundesliga, we're going to talk them all. So listen in and let us know.